Send a notice out to everybody. Hold on a second. Okay. All right, and check to make sure we are online. We are online. All right. So, for those of you who are wondering, I'm going to turn the sound down a little bit when I do the music. And you'll have to turn your sound up a little bit because it'll overload the sound when I do music. So. Okay, Damodarashtika ki jai. Just turn up your sound if it's not loud enough for you, because this is the only way we can do music and the voice. Sachit Anandurupam Latsatgunalam Gokure Brajamanam Yasodamiyo Lukala Devamana Jai, Om Vishnupad, Paramahansa, Paracharya, Ostotera Shimad, His Divine Grace, Abhaya Charanor Bhaktivedanta Goswami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON, Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Anantakoti, Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Shilahedas Thakur Ki Jai, Param Se Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhupada Shidvaita Gadadha, Shiva Sri Gaur Bhaktivinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopikapatna Shyam Kunda, Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Mathuranam Ki Jai, Jagadada Swami Ki Jai, Yamunamai Ki Jai, Shimani Lasi Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda, Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, the assembled devotees. All glories, the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnupadaya. Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale. Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamati Namani Namaste. Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani. Nirvashesha Shunyavadi Paschacha Jaja Tarane. So, Om Gana Timidanda Shagananjana Shalakaya Chakshura Meditam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with a torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. Okay, so now we're going to go on to the Caitanya Caritamrta. We left off in the 17th chapter of the Caitanya Caritamrta, and let us proceed. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhaktivinoda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhaktivinoda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhaktivinoda. So there's a whole discussion going on right now about, at least in this part of the Caitanya Caritamrta, I'm not talking about on the internet, which is Maya. There's a discussion going on here about the Mayavadis who are criticizing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and there's some discussion about Mayavad philosophy versus Vaishnava philosophy. And the Mayavadis who are criticizing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are situated in Varanasi, headed up by Prakashananda Saraswati. And Lord Chaitanya is hearing about these terrible insults to himself from this Brahman who's coming to visit him at Tapan Mishra's place. And there's two devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu there, Tapan Mishra and Chandrasekhara, who originally came from Mayapur, and they were sent to Varanasi, which is a place of Lord Shiva, by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to help him in his pastimes. So let's go on. Text 143. Otoiva Krishna Namahana Aishi Taramuke Mayavadi Ganadyate Mahabahir Mukhe. Because the Mayavadis are great offenders and atheistic philosophers, the holy name of Krishna does not come from their mouths. So what is Mayavadi? Mayavadi is one who thinks that the Lord's body, the Lord's form, the Lord's name, the Lord's pastimes, and everything about the Lord is Maya. That ultimately everything is one. And whatever Krishna does. It's all Maya or illusion, just like everything that you do is Maya or illusion. And when you wake up, you'll discover that everything was illusion. That's pretty stupid, considering, yes, your activities are illusory, but actually Krishna's activities are transcendent. Janma karma, chami divim evam yoveti tatvataha tatvadeham purna janma. Naitimam iti sojana, as Krishna says in the Gita, one who knows about the transcendental nature of his activities does not have to take a bath, take birth, sorry, bath is all right, but take a birth in this material world again. Because they are constantly blaspheming the Supreme Personality of Godhead by saying that he has no head, hands, or legs. Mayavadi philosophers remain offenders for many, many births, even though they have partially realized Brahman. So the partial realization of Brahman is the impersonal Brahman. Brahmaiti, Paramatmeti, Bhagwaniti, Shabdate. Three aspects of Brahman. Brahman means the greatest, Brahman means spirit. So there's three aspects. One is the impersonal aspect, one is the localized super soul in everyone's heart, and the final one is Bhagawan. Bhagawan means the person, Krishna, who has his own activities in the spiritual world. However, if such impersonalists are not offenders at the lotus feet of the Lord, they immediately become devotees in the association of a devotee. And yesterday we heard about the 4 Kumaras who are like that. In other words, if an impersonalist is not an offender, he can become a devotee if he gets a chance to associate with other devotees. If he is an offender, he cannot be converted even by the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Wow. Sri Krishna Caitanya Mahaprabhu was very much afraid of this Mayavadi offender. Therefore, he spoke as follows. What does it mean, very much afraid? Why should God be afraid of anybody? Well, afraid not in the sense that someone's going to attack him, but afraid don't want to be exposed to something so repulsive, so disgusting, so obnoxious, and I can't think of more words, horrible. You just don't want to be exposed to it. Just like if someone says there's a piece of stool on the road, I'll be afraid of stepping on it. I'm not afraid of stool, but I'm afraid of going near it because it's contaminating. So, Bhavakali vichite amiyailana kashi pure grahaka nahi na vikayalana tyabe gare. I have come here to sell my emotional, ecstatic sentiments in this city of Kashi, but I cannot find any customers, is Lord Chaitanya speaking. If they are not sold, I must take them back home. Baribo chalana ailana kemane lana gyaba apaswapa muya paile etai vichiva. I have brought a heavy load to sell in the city. To take it back again is a very difficult job. Therefore, if I get but a fraction of the price, I shall sell it here in the city of Kashi. In other words, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants to distribute love of Godhead everywhere. But basically, he's thinking in the beginning, people have to do something, have to pay a price, have to, sarvadharma pruchasham amikam sharanam prasha. But now he's thinking, because I want to give it to everybody, even if they just do a little bit, a little devotional service, then I will give them Krishna consciousness. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was selling the transcendental holy name of the Lord. But Kashi was a city of Mayavadis and personalists, and such people never chant the holy name of the Hare Krishna mantra. Consequently, all right, let me unpack this for a second. Sometimes you'll hear them chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, but they're not actually chanting the transcendental name. What they're chanting is the mere movement of the mouth and tongue. But this holy name has to descend. Golokera Premadana Harinam Sankirtan. It's not simply the material movements of the mouth and the tongue. It's actually descending from the spiritual world at the behest of a pure devotee, and of course the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was feeling disappointed. How could he teach the Mayavadis the importance of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra? The attraction for chanting the holy name of the Lord belongs absolutely to pure devotees, and there was no possibility of finding pure devotees at Kashi, other than Tapan Mishra and Chandrasekhar, and this Brahman who was visiting Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Consequently, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's commodity was certainly very heavy. The Lord, therefore, suggested that even though there were no pure devotees in Kashi, if someone was a little inclined to chant the Hare Krishna mantra, he would deliver this big load, although the proper price was not paid. Actually, and Prabhupada is comparing it to his situation, actually we experienced this when we, that's Prabhupada, came to preach the Hare Krishna movement in the West. When we came to New York in 1965, we never expected the Hare Krishna Mahamantra would be accepted in this country. Nonetheless, we invited people to our storefront to join in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, and the Lord's holy name is so attractive that simply by coming to our storefront in New York, fortunate young people became Krishna conscious. In other words, if someone just chants the holy name under the direction of a pure devotee, hearing from the pure devotee, then they'll become Krishna conscious. And you see him. The beginning, Prabhupada had to tolerate so many things. If you look at the pictures of 26 Second Avenue, wow, and the videos of 26 Second Avenue, you'll see that, it was just like, wow, it looked like Woodstock, basically. And I won't tell you what Woodstock is. Although this mission was started with insignificant capital, that's money, it is now going nicely. The spreading of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in the West has become successful because the young people were not offenders. The youths who joined this movement were not very advanced as far as purity is concerned, nor were they very well educated in Vedic knowledge, but because they were not offenders, they could accept the importance of the Hare Krishna movement. We are now very happy to see that this movement is advancing more and more in the Western countries. We therefore conclude that the so-called Malechas and Yavanas of the Western countries are more purified than the offensive Mayavadis or atheists and personalists. It's actually very interesting. So in other words, the only barrier to getting devotional service, pure devotional service, is offenses. Because it doesn't matter. I mean, look at the story about, was that Magrari the hunter? Look at the story of Valmiki in the Ramayana, and they were both like really, really, really low class. But because they were not offenders, even though they were committing all sorts of abominable activities, they got Lord Chaitanya's mercy, or they got Krishna's mercy, or got Lord Rama's mercy, just because they were not offenders. And similarly, we Westerners, because we were not offenders, we got Krishna's mercy. Another thing, actually faster than people in the beginning in India. In India, there was so much offensiveness going on in terms of the Mayavada impersonalist philosophy, which was propagated by Ramakrishna and Vivekananda. The people, for all intents and purposes, could not understand bhakti. And so that's one reason why Prabhupada didn't have so much success in the beginning. But when these people saw the Westerners, what Prabhupada called his dancing white elephants, take up Krishna consciousness, then they reconsidered their Mayavadi conceptions, and they began to take up Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada had a perfect strategy. So, Eta Bali Sevi Pre, Atmasata Kari, Prateuti Matorat Chalila Gora Hari. After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted that Brahman as his devotee. The next morning, rising very early, the Lord started for Mathura. He wanted to get the H-E-double-L out of Kashi because there were offenders there. Of course, later on, we'll see, he did return. And he confronted these offenders, and the offenders realized and admitted their offensive activities and their improper understanding of the Vedic literatures. But we're going to read about this later on. Saitina sange chale Prabhu nishedila Durai tetina chane Gari pataila. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started for Mathura, all three devotees started to go with him, but the Lord forbade them to accompany him, and from a distance he asked them to return home. That's the Brahman, Tapan Mishra, and Chandrasekhara. Prabhura virahe tine ekatra milila Prabhu guna gana kare premamata na. Feeling separation from the Lord, the three used to meet and glorify the holy qualities of the Lord. Thus they were absorbed in ecstatic love. And also, as they were remembering the holy qualities of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were associating with him, because the Lord is not different from his qualities, from his pastimes, from his holy name, from his remembrance. Prayage asya Prabhu Koila Venish Nana Madhavadikiya Preme Kaila Nracha Kata. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went to Prayag, where he bathed at the confluence of the Ganges and the Yamuna. He then visited the temple of Veni Madhava and chanted and danced there in ecstatic love. The city of Prayag is situated a few miles from the city of Allahabad. Of course, that's a Muslim name, obviously. The name Prayag is given to successful sacrifices performed there. It is said, Prakristo Yago Yajapolom Yasmat. If one performs sacrifices at Prayag, he certainly gets immediate results without difficulty. Prayag is also called Tirtharaja, the king of all holy places of all. This holy place is situated on the confluence of the rivers Ganges and Yamuna. Every year a fair takes place there known as Magh Mela, and every 12 years a Kumbh Mela is also held. In any case, many people come to bathe there every year. During Magh Mela, people from the local district generally come, and during the Kumbh Mela, people come from all over India to live there and bathe in the Ganges and Yamuna. Whoever goes there immediately feels the place's spiritual significance. A fort located there was constructed by the Emperor Akbar about 500 years ago, and near the fort is a place called Triveni. On the other side of Prayag is an old place known as Patishtanapura. It is also well known as Jhansi. Many saintly persons live there, and consequently it is very attractive from the spiritual point of view. Yamuna Dikiya Preme Pade Jan Padya Aste Vyaste Bhattacharya Utaya Dhariya. As soon as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the river Yamuna, he threw himself into it. Balabhadraya Bhattacharya hastily caught the Lord and very carefully raised him up again. So in other words, this is called a vibhava. Vibhava means those particular things that excite someone's emotions. And those things may be or are either connected to Krishna or Krishna directly. That's called alambana and udipana. You don't have to remember those two terms. E matatina dina prayagi rahila Krishna nama premadiya lokanishtarila. The Lord stayed at Prayag for 3 days. He delivered the holy name of Krishna in ecstatic love. Thus he delivered many people. Mathura chalite patte Yatharahiyaya Krishna nama prema diya lokere nachaya. Wherever the Lord stopped to rest on the way to Mathura, he delivered the holy name of Krishna and ecstatic love of Krishna. Thus he made the people dance. Purvayena dakshinaya te loka nishtarila Paschimmadeshe taichi saba Vaishnava karila. When the Lord toured South India, he delivered many people, and when he traveled in the western sector, he similarly converted many people to Vaishnavism. Formerly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu converted people when he toured southern and western India. Similarly, the Hare Krishna movement is now delivering the people of the Western world wherever devotees are chanting the holy names. This is all being done by the Lord's mercy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu predicted that he would deliver people in every city and village of the world by giving them a chance to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Patuyahan yahan haya yamuna darshana tahan janpadya pade premeya chaitana. While the Lord was going to Mathura, he came across the river Yamuna several times, and as soon as he saw the river Yamuna, he would immediately jump in, falling unconscious in the water in the ecstasy of love of Krishna. Whew. Wow. That's called a Vyabhachari Bhava. In other words, the Vibhava excites one, the Vyabhachari Bhava, of which there are 33, describes the uncontrolled ecstatic emotions that come up without any warning. When one becomes stimulated by some particular thing related to Krishna or Krishna himself. Mathura nikati aila, Mathura dekhiya, dhanavat hanapade, prema vishtahana. When he approached Mathura and saw the city, he immediately fell to the ground and offered obeisances with ecstatic love. Mathura asyat kaila, vishranti tirtesnana, janmastane keshavadeki, karila pranama. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered the city of Mathura, he took his bath at Vishrama Ghat. That means the Ghat. A Ghat is like a bathing place of rest. He then visited the birthplace of Krishna and saw the deity named Keshavaji. He offered his respectful obeisances to this deity. At the present moment, the temple of Keshavaji is very much improved. At one time, Keshavaji Mandir was attacked by the Emperor Aurangzeb, who constructed such a big mosque there that the temple of Keshavaji was insignificant in comparison. But with the help of many rich Marwaris, the temple has been improved, and a very large temple is now being constructed so that the mosque is now appearing diminished in comparison. Many archaeological discoveries have been made there, and many people from foreign countries are beginning to appreciate Krishna's birthplace. This Krishna conscious movement is attracting many foreigners to the Keshavaji temple, and now they will also be attracted by the Krishna Balarama temple in Vrindavan. So this temple, of course, marks the appearance place of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna actually appeared in a dungeon as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, who were in prison, and imprisoned by uncle Kamsa. And so, as is the case of many holy places, the Muslims erected mosques on top of those holy places. This happened, of course, not only with the Hindu holy places, but with the holy places of other religions too, such as the Jewish religion and the Christian religion. This is not good to attack other religions. We should respect the holy places of different religions and not try to impose our own religion upon others of a different religious persuasion, as long as they're worshiping God. God has many different names. Nam Namakari, Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktish. My Lord, you have many names. And of course, some examples of those names are Krishna, Govinda, etc. But there's different names like Allah, Yahweh, even the word G-O-D is a name of God. So there's primary and secondary names of God. And the name Krishna and Govinda are primary names, and Paramatma, or God, they're secondary names. Premanande Nachigaya Sagana Hunkara Prabhura Premavesha Deki Loke Chamat Kara. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted, danced, and made loud vibrations, all the people were astonished to see his ecstatic love. Ekavipra Bhari Prabhura Charala Dariya Prabhu Sange Nrichakare Prema Vishta Hana. When Brahman fell at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and then began to dance with him in ecstatic love. Tunhe Preme Nrichakari Kare Kola Kuli Hori Krishna Koho Dunhe Mali Bahu Tule. The two of them danced in ecstatic love and embraced each other. Raising their arms, they said, "Chant the holy names of Hari and Loka Hari Hari Bhalle Kola Hala Hoila Keshva Sevaka Prabhu Ke Mala Paraila." All the people then began to chant, what? Hori Hori. And there was a great uproar. The priest in Lord Keshava's service offered Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu a garland. Loke kahi Prabhu deki hana vismaya aiche hena prema lokika kabunyaya. When the people saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's dancing and chanting, they were struck with wonder, and they all said, "Such transcendental love is never an ordinary thing." Yan haradarshane loke preme matahana hase kanne nache gaya Krishna nama lana. The people said, simply by seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, everyone is maddened with love of Krishna. Indeed, everyone is laughing, crying, dancing, chanting, and taking the holy name of Krishna. Sarvata Nishchita in Ho Krishna Avatara Mathura Ela Lokera Karite Nishtara. Certainly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in all respects the incarnation of Lord Krishna. Now he has come to Mathura to deliver everyone. Tabi Mahaprabhu se Brahmane Lana Tanhare Puchila Kichu Nibrite Vasya. After this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took the Brahman aside. Sitting in a solitary place, the Lord began to question him. It's actually very, very interesting, because you'll hear about the Brahmana's heritage. Arya Sarala Tumi Vrida Brahmana Kahan Haite Pila Tumi E Prema Dana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "You are an elderly Brahmana, you are sincere, and you advance in spiritual life. Where from have you gotten this transcendental opulence of ecstatic love for Krishna?" Viprakahe Sripada Sri Madhavendra Puri Brahmate Brahmate Hoila Mathura Nagari. The Brahmin replied, "His Holiness Srila Madhavendra Puri came to the city of Mathura while he was on tour." Kripa Kari Teno Mora Nilaye Aila More Shisha Kari Mora Hate Viksha Kaila. While at Mathura, Sripad Madhavendra Puri visited my house and accepted me as a disciple. He even took lunch at my home. So in other words, this particular Brahmin is the godbrother of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's spiritual master. Wow. That's amazing. Because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's spiritual master is Ishwara Puri, who was a disciple of Madhavendra Puri. Gopala Prakatakari Sevakaila Mahashaya Ajapiha Biha Tanhara Seva Govardhane Haya. After installing the deity of Gopal, Srila Madhavendra Puri rendered him service. That very deity is still being worshipped at Govardhan Hill. Shuni Prabhu Kailatanra Charana Vandada Vayapana Prabhupaya Padila Brahmana. As soon as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard about Madhavendra Puri's relationship with the Brahman, he immediately offered obeisances at his feet because this Brahmana is the godbrother of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's spiritual master. That's the etiquette. Becoming fearful, the Brahmana also immediately fell at the Lord's feet. Prabhu kahe, tumi guru, ami shishya praya, guru hana shishya namaskara na yuyaya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "You are on the platform of my spiritual master and I am your disciple. Seeing you are my spiritual master, it is not befitting that you offer me obeisances." Because Lord Chaitanya was teaching the etiquette. You're supposed to respect the godbrothers of your spiritual master on the level of your spiritual master. Shuniya vispita vipra kahi bhaya pana aichi bat kat kene sannyasi hana. Upon hearing this, the Brahmana became afraid. He then said, "Why do you speak like this? You are a sannyasi." Kuntu tamara prema deki mane adu mane Madhavendra Purira Sambandhadara Jani. Upon seeing your ecstatic love, I could just imagine that you must have some relationship with Madhavendra Puri. That is my understanding. Krishna Prema Tanha Yanha Tanhara Sambana Banda Tahan Bina He Premara Kahanahi Ganda. This kind of ecstatic love can be experienced only when one has a relationship with Madhavendra Puri. Without him, even a scent of such ecstatic love is impossible. Tavi Bhattacharya Tare Sambandha Kahila Shri Anandita Vipra Tachite Lagila. Balabhadra Bhattacharya that explained the relationship between Madhavendra Puri and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After hearing this, the Brahmana became very pleased and began to dance. Tabi Vipra Prabhure Lana Aila Nija Kore Apana Ichaya Prabhura Nana Seva Kare. The Brahmana then took Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his home and out of his own free will began to serve the Lord in various ways. Vikshalagi Bhattacharya Karaila Rantana Tavi Mahaprabhu Hasi Balila Vachada. He asked Balabhadra Bhattacharya to cook Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lunch. At that time, the Lord, smiling, spoke as follows. Puri Goshani Tamaragare Kariyachena Viksha More Tumi Viksha Deha Emora Siksha. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Madhavendra Puri has already taken lunch at your place, therefore you may cook and give me the food. That is my instruction. Yadyada chariti shreshtas tatat ivetro janaha sayat pramanam gurute lokastad anuvartate. Of course, that's from the Gita. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. This is a quotation from Bhagavad Gita 3:21. Yadyapi sanodhyahaya seta brahmana sanodhyagare sannyasina karivojana. The Brahmana belonged to the Sanodhya Brahmana community, and a sannyasi does not accept food from such a Brahmana. This is just ritualistic. It's not actually a Vedic rule. It's a ritualistic rule which Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not follow. So Prabhupada here explains this. In northwestern India, Vaishyas are divided into various subdivisions. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur points out that they are divided as Argawal, which you have a lot of them in Vrindavan. A lot of them, all the shops are owned by the Argawal family. So, Kalawara and Sonwara. Out of them, the Argawalas are said to be first-class Vaishyas, and the Kalawaras and Sonwaras are considered lower due to their occupational degradation. The Kalawaras generally take wine and other intoxicants. Although they are Vaishyas, they are considered to belong to the lower class. The priests who guide the Kalawaras and the Sonwaras are called Sanodiya Brahmanas. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur states that the word Sanodyada in Bengal indicates Suvarna Vanik. That means like a gold merchant. In Bengal, there are priests who guide the Suvarna Vanik community, which is also considered a low class. There's little difference between the Sanwadas and the Suvarnavaniks. Generally, the Suvarnavaniks are bankers dealing in gold and silver. That's what Suvarnavanik means. In Western India, the Argawalas also belong to the banking profession. This is the original business of the Suvarnavanik or the Argawal community. Historically, the Argawals come from the upcountry named Ayodhya, and the Suvarnavanik community also came from Ayodhya. It therefore appears that the Suvarnavaniks and the Argawalas belong to the same community. The Sanodiya Brahmanas were the guides of the Kalawaras and Sunwadas, the lower class Vaishyas. They are therefore considered to be lower class Brahmanas, and the sannyasi is not allowed to take alms or food from them. However, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted lunch cooked by a Sanodiya Brahmana simply because he belonged to Madhavendra Puri's community. Srila Madhavendra Puri was the spiritual master of Ishwar Puri, was the spiritual master of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thus, a spiritual relationship is established on the spiritual platform without consideration of material inferiority or superiority. Tatapi Puri Deki Tanra Vaishnava Chara Shishya Caritamrta Madhya Kaila Angikara. Although the Brahmana belonged to the Sanodiya community, Srila Madhavendra Puri had seen that he behaved like a Vaishnava and therefore accepted him as his disciple. The food he had cooked had also been accepted by Madhavendra Puri. Mahaprabhu Tanre Yadi Bhiksha Magila Dainya Kari Sevipra Kahite Lagila. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu willingly requested food for the Brahmana, and the Brahmana, feeling natural humility, began to speak as follows. Tomare Vikshadeva Madhavagya Seyamara Tumi Ishvara Nahi Tamara Vidi Vyavahara. It is a great fortune for me to offer you food. You are the Supreme Lord, and being in a transcendental position, you are not restricted in any way. Okay, so we're going to end here and take some questions. So here you see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu violating the ordinary ritualistic etiquette, but this ritualistic etiquette, has nothing to do with the Vedic literatures. It's only a custom, a local custom. So we have to be able to distinguish customs from real eternal principles or even Vedic etiquette principles. There are many customs that we follow that are not eternal. I'm not going to get into the details about it. Anyway, let's take questions now. And I will allow you to unmute yourselves so you can ask questions or raise your little hands or write down in the chat window. Does anyone have any questions, comments, arguments, problems, issues? Madhava, okay.
Hare Krishna, Dandot Maharaj, Dandot Pranam. So I have two questions. So one was earlier we discussed Mahaprabhu is coming through Varanasi. So was this his first trip, or Hardly one he had before this.
No, this is his first trip, and then on the way back, he deals with the Mayavadis.
Also, while he comes back from Vrindavan, then he again comes back from Varanasi and then
Yes, when he goes
had the.
back from Vrindavan, he goes to Varanasi again,
Oh,
and at that particular time, he deals with Prakasananda Saraswati and all the
oh,
devotees.
okay, I got you. And then one more question. This time he's going to Vrindavan. This is his first visit or he gone even before?
No, this is his first visit to Vrindavan.
Does he come again from Jagannath Puri? No more.
Not that we don't have any information of him going a second time.
Oh, okay. That's what it is. Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay, thank you very much, Madhava. So, who else wants to raise their hand or type in the window here? No one. Everyone's so shy tonight. So tomorrow, while I'm waiting, tomorrow night we're going to have this program at someone's house. I'm not sure if we're going to do a reading. I'm not sure what we're going to speak about, but it'll be at the same time, same station at 5 o'clock tomorrow evening. Okay, Miss.
Hi, Krishna.
Oh, Rishikesh. Okay.
Can you hear me, Gurudev?
I can hear you but just fine.
Okay, Gurudev. Today I was reading this Srimad Bhagavatam, where the Lord says that I basically disappeared from you to increase your hankering for me and increase your love, intensify your hankering
Mm,
for me. That's the reason he decided to disappear from the gopis. Uh,
yes.
so, but for a person like me, who's a conditioned soul, who has no experience of meeting Krishna, and so how does it apply to me, Gurudev? Because I do not know how do I increase my anchoring to Krishna when I have no experience of meeting him. Gopis had a different experience because they already had experience of meeting him. So it was natural for them.
Well, you also have experience. Actually, Krishna says in the Gita, the ninth chapter, Rajaguyam Pavitramidam Uttamam Prachaksha Dharmyam Shushukam Kartamavyam. That this knowledge is the king of all education, the most secret of all secrets, and it gives direct perception of the self by realization. So you have also experienced, maybe not Krishna, well, I can't say for sure whether you've experienced Krishna directly or whether you're a gopi or whatever. But I
I
can
mean,
say
I
you've
definitely
all,
have experienced association of devotees, Gurudev.
yeah.
But
So
that intent,
you've
beauty of Krishna,
experienced.
which gopis
I know
are
you're
so
not.
much attracted to the beauty. I have not experienced
Anyways,
that.
but you also had some Krishna conscious experience in this lifetime, and you're
Yes,
attracted
Gurudev, yes.
to it, and you feel some
Yep,
happiness. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So what Krishna
right.
does is sometimes he gives us his association in terms of that experience, and sometimes he takes away that association. And then we just feel, oh my God, we feel so dirty, so polluted. I mean, just like last night, right? Let me give you an example. Last night we were doing, we had a program last night. So one of the things we did in last night's program for the young people here at the university, we showed them a spiritual movie, a quasi spiritual movie. And when we were showing the quasi spiritual movie, in other words, there's certain movies that lead to Krishna consciousness, like the Matrix movie or something like that. So when you show these movies, it sort of starts off a whole discussion on, we're not the body, who are we really, what is our origin, what happens at the time of death, this body is a machine. So, all these discussions are started off. So what happens, well, someone's asking me these questions anyway. I don't want to read the text messages right now. So what happens is when I was seeing this, and we're doing it for preaching purposes, I was seeing this, I just said, where is Krishna? I just want to chant Hare Krishna. I just want to dance for the deities. I just want to chant the holy names. So I was feeling great, intense separation while we were utilizing this particular situation to attract people to Krishna. So sometimes it's like that. Sometimes we are put in certain circumstances, like someone who's working a job may be thinking, oh, I just miss Krishna. So in this way, we can also experience a modicum, that means a small amount, of separation from Krishna, or at least separation from the ecstasy that we feel when we're Krishna conscious or semi-Krishna conscious or remembering Krishna. So this is, anyway, it's a sample. So even though you're not experiencing the same, whoops, I just want to see something, the same ecstasy as the gopis, you're also experiencing something, a modicum. Modicum means a small amount of, insignificant amount of what they must be experiencing during certain circumstances. Or sometimes, all right, here's another example for all of you that doesn't really apply for me. To me, I just gave my own example. Sometimes we're, not we, but you all who have big families talking about this and that, and what about that person who just got married? What about that person who just got sick? What about that person who made a lot of money? And you're just thinking, I just want to be Krishna conscious. What the heck? Well, sorry for my French. What's the HWELL am I in this circumstance for? So I'm sure that those of you who are married with families find yourself in those circumstances sometimes where it's just like, wow, I have to be here, but get me out of here. So that's like a sample of the separation from Krishna. I want to be with Krishna. I want to chant his holy names. And Krishna does that to us. So sometimes Krishna hides from us or puts us in a situation where we can't directly contact him, or Krishna takes the ecstasy away from us, and this increases our hankering. And I was thinking like that last night during this whole program. I said, oh, what are we doing? It was like Krishna, we were trying to Krishnaize at the university a Halloween party. And you know, what's Halloween? You know, it's some crazy thing. Anyway, hopefully no one's watching me who become upset with my blasphemy of Halloween. But, you know, we can use things in Krishna's service, even Halloween sometimes. So, anyway, all right. What else happened to Vishram before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? COVID situation not allowing me to be in Vrindavan during Kartik does help remembering Krishna more than when I'm at Vrindavan physically. Yes, Abhinandini says the COVID situation not allowing me to be in Vrindavan during Kartik does help because you're feeling great separation. Me too. I mean, normally I'm at Govardhan at least twice a year. We have some nice houses there, and I'm just missing it. And actually missing it more than when I'm there. So it increases the intensity. So COVID has actually helped us in many ways in our Krishna consciousness. Very, very good. Yes, Vishram God is right before Bahulavan. Yes. So, who else has a question? Miss Craddock.
Yes, sir. Please send my
Yes.
obeisance, please.
Send my blessings. What's up?
I may not be very clear on the question, but when
It
we
looks
were
like
watching
you're
that
in a
movie,
dark. It looks like you're in a dark tunnel with a spider behind you or something.
I am Halloween. But anyways, when in that movie, you know
Yeah.
how Neo has to go through the different things to break his attachment to his mental concepts and his
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of that combined with that class that you gave several days back about how we think we're the controllers. And so then when we're chanting, we're not just chanting to Krishna, please just let me serve you. We're we're just thinking of all kinds of things, even if it's related to service, because
Yeah.
we don't want to think of Krishna. We don't want to. We
Well,
don't
we
want to.
we want to think that we're the controllers and the proprietors, Ishvara Homa Hambhati, and
And
that's
the
why.
doing.
So, what's the question?
Well, yeah, I was just thinking how in that movie, how Neo had to get broken of that, and Morpheus even told him because usually we don't do the older people.
You're putting everybody into yeah. I was thinking like that too. You're putting everybody into complete Maya in this class here, but anyway, yes, like Prabhupada said, it's difficult. It's like teaching an old dog new tricks. So sometimes when people are older, it's harder to adapt to Krishna consciousness. One time I was with Prabhupada, and there was a young lady who was asking Prabhupada, uh, why so many young people here? And of course, I know on this internet discussion we have older people too. And Prabhupada said, what is the age for education? And she said, youth. And Prabhupada said, yes, because it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. So when we get older, we have many different habits. So therefore, we have this discussion or this statement by Prahlad Bharanj, Komara Machuret Pragya Dharmam Bhagavatang Niha Durlabha Manusha Janma Tarav Dhruvamartadam, that one should take up Krishna consciousness from the very beginning, because what you do in your childhood will shape your consciousness throughout the rest of your life. Yes, difficult to change when you're old. And right now, fortunately, I started Krishna consciousness when I was a young person or had a young body, so you can't change me. Whatever I am, I am. I'm a servant of Prabhupada.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
thinking how Krishna brings us through so many different things, like how Morpheus brought Neo
All
through
right, all right.
different
Don't put
things to
everybody
break
in
our
Maya. Don't
conscious
put
state.
everybody in Maya by mentioning them. I'm already.
Well,
I just want to think of Krishna and Vrindavan and be absorbed in the transcendental pastimes of Krishna with his associates.
okay.
I got enough problems without remembering movies at this point. So,
Okay.
okay, Mr. Mr. Cohen, you have a question?
Thank you, Gurudev. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada was talking about the reasoning behind not taking prasadam in the home of a particular caste. And
Yeah.
he seemingly to great lengths to explain the logical reasoning behind it, almost as a justification. So is it kind of like it says in the Bible, when in Rome, that unless there's some higher purpose for breaking the normal etiquette, that we might as well just follow it unless there's some higher reason for breaking it, like Lord Chaitanya did?
Well, it depends on what the normal etiquette is. It really depends on what the normal etiquette is. If the normal etiquette is just senseless, then why do we follow it? Unless it will cause people to criticize us. I mean, it's a balancing act. Like the reason that Lord Chaitanya followed the normal etiquette was so that he wouldn't be criticized by others. And but Prabhupada, when he came to America, he not only made lower class Vaishyas, and it's interesting. It's interesting, Lord Chaitanya. It was prohibited for Lord Chaitanya to eat at the house of a Brahmana who was a spiritual master or guide or priest of a lower class Vaishya. What to speak of the lower class Vaishya? What to speak of the Malecha? So Prabhupada actually came and turned Malechas and Yavanas and Yakshas and Rakshasas. Not only dealt with their priests, but he dealt with us. I think a Vaishnava will do whatever's necessary. You know, whatever is necessary to bring people to Krishna consciousness. If it means following the social etiquette or it means not following the social etiquette, whatever is required. And I think that's the standard, to accept everything favorable, to reject everything unfavorable. Generally, it is favorable to follow the normal social etiquette, the important items of social etiquette, so that people will respect our society and take us seriously. Like devotees should act like perfect ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, that's a judgment call. Okay, so we're going to end right now. So we'll see everybody tomorrow evening. All glories to His divine grace. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.